hockey friends and families around the world, and welcome back to another edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. It's Lee with Christie and Mike today. Got a really great topic. Most of you know, we've said this 100 times, that our most popular episode ever is top 3 things you should say to your kids before they take the ice. We get a lot of references back to that. A lot of parents have said that they've used that episode. So we're flipping the script a little bit today, and we thought it would be interesting to talk about the top 3 things you should not say to your kids before they take the ice. Now, a little context on this, right? This isn't going to be the ridiculous, like, hey, kid, you suck and shouldn't play. That's not what we're going for today.
Oh.
We're going for some things that you might not even realize are things you probably shouldn't be saying to your kid before they take the ice. Again, all of it comes from a place of love. We all love our kids. If you're listening to this show, you love your kids, right? You're not listening to a podcast about youth hockey because you don't care. But it's our job to bring these to you. So today we're going to go over some things you should probably not ever say to your kid before they take the ice. Tell you why you shouldn't say these things to your kid before they take the ice. And then at the end, we're gonna in true broadcast fashion pick the top 3. But to get started, we're just going to go through some of these, right? And I'm going to throw it over to my good friend Christie Burns, live from the newsroom at WSYR in Syracuse, New York, with one to share.
Yes, here's I love that intro. Here's one to share. Telling your kid, you are the best player out there. Go out there and prove it. Wow. I heard one mom say this to her kid, and immediately I said, okay, she's delusional. But then you think about the message that she's giving to the kid. That's a lot of pressure to place on them. And of course, and Mike mentions this all the time, she only sees her kid. So she may not have a realistic, you're only watching your kid out there. So to tell your kid you're the best player out there is setting them up for failure. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the player is the best player on the team out there, right? But I think that's the whole idea about that's why we play a sport. I mean, it's if you're a tennis player and you're playing one-on-one, maybe there's a psychological piece in there, like you're the best, you've trained for this your whole life, you can be that. That's a different message than, hey, you're the way I'm thinking when I hear parents say that, and the context usually is you're the best player out there. So don't pass anyone. You control the play. You're the one that's going to make the difference. I'm not sure that's the right message to be sending to your athlete when they when they're leaving the car to jump into the rink.
How about the fact it's a team sport? It's a team sport. It doesn't matter if you're the best player out there in a team sport. I mean, that's the other thing too. You're making it individualistic. You're giving them a label. It can be tough. Look, I'm going to give a great example, and I'm going to do it 2 ways because I know we have a lot of listeners both in Canada and the United States. Connor McDavid is the best player in ice hockey, and last season I watched him score a game-winning goal in overtime against the Team USA in the Four Nations face-off, which was devastating to us. And then this year in the Olympics, he was on the ice in the exact opposite situation. I'm using both so we can both, Canada and U.S., feel the pain and the joy together. Because he is the best player on the ice. And it didn't matter depending on how you look at it, it was a team game. And in those moments, he was there for both of them. So, yeah, telling your kid he's the best player out there, again, things you might say to them, right? You might think that's endearing and that, like, oh, I'm showing my kid that I support them. There's better ways to do it than that. And again, it doesn't add anything. Go ahead, Mike.
I mean, we just had one of our co-hosts and Olympic gold medalist and professional hockey player talk about, the ability to manifest things, right? But I don't think that this falls into that category. This doesn't fall into the category of you're manifesting your child's, ability to play. What you're doing is you're putting them in a place where you're separating them from us. And I think ultimately that's just not how the game works. And it just really, to Christie's point, you all of a sudden put them in a place where that pressure, and again, maybe know your own kid, right? But that all of a sudden that pressure there, you can see it in the players. Like, the players that are being told that they're the best players and not to worry about what your teammates are doing because you see the way they play. And I think it's just that linear focus of you do what you do. Don't worry about anybody else is really where you'll start to see the breakdown of that whole team piece.
Yeah.
Right. And let's get back to the importance of telling our kids how important it is being part of a team.
Right.
And what a great example with the Olympics, right? After the gold medal goals were scored, what did those players say right afterwards? It
Right.
wasn't me,
Always.
it was, they were buoyed by having that camaraderie and teamship concept that is just part of why they won, you
Right.
know? So, and I think if you're elevating your kid, telling them, hey, you're the best, go out there and prove it, I think that you lose the whole concept of the importance of you're part of something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
You're part of a team. Yeah.
And you bring up a great point, Christy. We should try with all of these to give an alternative. And I think for this one, you just said it's instead of you're the best player out there, it's hey, be a great teammate today or be the best teammate today.
Yeah.
That's a much better message than saying, hey, you need to be the best. It's no, be part of a great team today. And I can tell you as a coach that will pay off far more than your best player trying to dangle through 5 people on the ice and not score a goal or turn it over. All right, let's go to another one. I think, Mike, we talked in the pre-show a lot about this. There's a few that could fall into this category, but I'm going to do the most obvious one, which is, hey, you need to score today. You need to get a goal today. I've heard this one from parents, all right? And, man, I don't know if that's the way to do it because now you're putting the entire result of the game on one kid. Just established that's not how it's going to work. I don't care if your kid's a goal scorer or not. First off, a lot of different ways to contribute in a hockey game aside from scoring. I always want the kids to score as a coach, but you need to score today. That type of ultimatum is not great.
Or how about bribing them? If you score today, you're going to get a new hockey stick. Those skates you've always wanted.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing you could do. Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah. Again, I always say if
pay
you're going to do
play.
That, pay for points. Don't just pay for if you're going to do it, make sure it's not just one thing, but don't do that. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, but I think it's really almost the why, right? Because I mean, I've seen a couple of parents that I've been working with, like, and they're like, hey, listen, if you get a goal today, or you get a shutout, or you get a hat trick, or like you'll get the day off of school, or we'll give you, like, there's a reward system, and it's a dangerous thing to do because number one is that they have to actually succeed. You got to follow through with it, right? Christie you got to buy a mistake. You're like, oh my god, like that was dumb. But I mean, how do you find the motivation for a kid without the bribery? And I think that's again, I don't even mind like the goal setting part, but it's the like you have to score today is something that's really not in your control, because what happens then is, like, in the brain of a child, like if they're like, oh, I'm the one that has to score, there might be 4 people, the other 4 teammates open to win the game.
Yes.
And you're trying to do the Michigan behind the net, trying to score. And it just breaks down the whole idea of maybe you don't have to score today is not the answer. It's like, wow, you could really impact the game today.
Yeah.
And how's that impact going to look? Well, it's going to look at, there's a whole bunch of different things it can look like.
I'll tell you a good example, Mike, from my own playing days. When I would get into, we'll just say, high stress situations, this is especially as I got older, I would never say to myself, I need to score. What I would say to myself is, I'm built for big moments. And I believe that. I mean, I believed it when I played, right? And I could sense big moments. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm built for these moments, right? And look, I'm not going to lie to you, people. Like, I usually have something to do with a big moment in those games, right? So it's a little bit more manifestation. I'm built for big moments, or I'm a big moment player, or I'm a money player is what we used to say back in the 90s and 2000s. All right. But I never, anytime I was like, I have to score, man, that kind of pressure. And by the way, it's like putting blinders on, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with having the game winning assist. It's nothing wrong with making a game saving saves or amazing defensive play. And I just think that's where you go. And just on this line, right? I need to score today. You better skate today. You need to pass today. Any kind of version of that is not good for your kid, because now you're just singularizing, is that a word? The focus on one thing when this game is not played that way. Oh, they said I better skate today. All right, now you're skating like a maniac, right? And it's like you're not going anywhere. Right. We'll talk about that one again in a minute, but go ahead, Christy.
And if the team loses, you worry that the kid might feel like it was all his fault, taking on all the mistakes themselves. Oh, that's because I didn't score. We lost because, and now you're putting that kind of guilt. Oh, I should have scored. If I had scored, then we would have won the game.
Right.
All the mistakes were my fault.
Yeah, I'm going to give.
That's a lot of heavy stuff to deal with as a kid.
Well, especially a young kid. It's a lot to deal with as an older kid, right? And believe me, the older kids are already putting that pressure on themselves without your help, parents. Look, I want to give a great example because it kind of happened last night. I was coaching a youth game last night, and I talked about two things that I hope more coaches would adopt here, where we as coaches and parents, you do this all the time in the stands. I'm going to call you out for it. Yell, skate, skate, skate as hard as you can, skate. And the truth is, like, yes, the kids absolutely need to be skating. Like, don't get me wrong. I always say to my kids, there's a difference between being in motion and moving, right? But skating wildly with no thought is not correct. So what I was telling a kid last night, this is another one about, you better skate today, is I was telling the kid, hey, listen, skate hard to the open ice. Find the open ice. And I said to him, I talked to him for a few minutes. I said, if you remember anything I said to you today, it's look for the open ice and get to the open ice, right? We also talked about Haley, our co-host, Haley Skamora, how great she is at skating to the correct places, and she moves quickly to those places. There's tactics involved with this skating. Now, I also got to call out, like, the lazy skater not back checking. Yeah, that's to me, that's a little bit of a different scenario. That's now you're being lazy. It's not so much the skating, right? So just I think we all need to be a little more poignant with when we yell skate hard, what does that mean, right? And I also say that to hold the kids this too, like, it's not just skating hard, it's mentally being awake and aware. And, like, to me, that version of skating hard, right? Make sure your brain's working the whole game. Those are the messages we want to say. I wish I said that a little more succinctly, but that's the difference. Mike, I know you deal with this all the time. I love it. Shoot, skate, pass. Like, these are not great. These are not great things to be yelling.
Well, I mean, and it's just really what it does. Yeah, forget about the messaging. It's just most of the time, if it's parents doing it, it's wrong.
Right.
Like most of the time, like you want, like we talked about this a lot, right? About it's a big difference between skating hard but skating smart. Like, you don't need to get there fast. You got to be quick, but you don't have to be getting there fast. Like,
that's great.
You can delay. Like, the game is all about delay and finding lanes and waiting for layers and, like, all the things you talk about as a coach. But then if the only aspect of your child's brain is that when you get the puck, you just got to go to the net and score, it breaks down all of the other team pieces. And I think, Christie said it earlier too, like, when you're thinking about the disappointment of the player, if they don't score, it's also the same body language when you see you see it all the time in players, right? That the team wins, but they didn't score and they're upset. Like, the team wins, they didn't accomplish their goal of scoring, and their body language, and they're just like, oh, well, I didn't do what, I was supposed to do. Well, right. You won the game, and that's really the ultimate goal. But it's also, you think about all the different, like, as the parent going back and saying, hey, I know you didn't score, but do you know you were impactful in these ways? And that's really the message, not, oh, I didn't score, we won the game anyway. It's, right. Wow, I didn't get to score, but guess what? My teammates did things that I wasn't able to do, but I contributed to all the other pieces.
Yeah.
Whether it's a great back check, a big hit, a great forecheck, breaking up a play, covering the guy that was open, all those kind of things go into play. And I think when we start sending, like, individual goal setting messages to a player in a team sport that you can't control the other team, then it really is, it could become pretty negative pretty quick.
Yeah.
And do you also think, guys, it's a huge mistake to bring up past mistakes all the time? Hey, remember what happened last game? Mike, you just mentioned it's so good to buoy them by mentioning all the positives. That was a great shot that you took, and that was perfect the way that you passed that puck. But bringing up the past mistakes, remember what happened last game? I think that's another one that should be on the list.
Yeah. No,
well, that was mine. So if you gave me a top three, right? Going back to, like, if you gave me one in my top three, and I can't believe how many coaches I've been, like, next to or in the locker room or around, in pregame speeches, and parents, like, that to me is one of the number one things. Like, when you, like, introducing a negative thought going into a competition, I think is one of the worst. Like, I've had coaches say, I remember yesterday when that team beat us 15-1. Don't worry about that. Forget about that game. That game when you guys didn't back check well and you, Lee, gave up so many bad goals. Don't think about that. I'm like, don't think about that. They had already forgotten about it.
You're bringing up a great point, Mike.
Thinking about it.
You're bringing up a great point. So I'm actually I'm gonna bring up a series here, all right, of 3 of these. And you said the key word, and this is a word I want coaches and parents to look out for. The word is don't. You just said it there. Don't do that. Don't. So the problem with don't, and everyone, I hope everyone's heard this. If I tell the whole audience right now, don't think of purple elephants, now you're thinking of a purple elephant, right? The psychology is there. I got to say this too. Look, I'm guilty.
And I'm wearing purple today, just for you.
Maybe that's why I said purple. There you go. It's a beautiful suit you have on there, Christie. So listen, here's a few of the don'ts. Okay. Hey, don't turn the puck over. Don't mess up. Don't be afraid out there. Now you're thinking about fear. Now you're thinking, you've heard the words turn the puck over, right? Now you're hearing mess up. So the psychology here is now your kid's thinking about those things, right? Don't turn the puck over. Don't be afraid. Now they're thinking about fear. Now they're thinking about turning the puck over. So nothing should be don't do this, right? Again, the alternative is the positive of what you should do, right? All right. So instead of don't mess up, it's make great decisions today, right? Instead of don't turn the puck over, right? It's make sure you have great possession today, right? And then the last one was that, don't be afraid out there. Play with confidence today. Big differences than hearing afraid and hearing confidence.
Don't think about the bad loss we had last time we played these guys. Like don't think about that. That's a horrible thing to think about. Oh my God. And all the kids are in there like, oh, and then they're talking. Oh, remember that guy? Oh, that 67? He was unbelievable. He torched us. Like, so I think this is where like that don't. And it's the same thing we teach our coaches when we're trying to, help them understand working with players. Like, don't go off sides, as opposed to, hey, when you're going in, remember that if you go in after the puck, that's a better strategy in the game of hockey, right? Like it's all about the nuance of how you're speaking to, like, I work with the guys at Ping, right? It's like, don't hit the post. So what do? You hit the post. Hit the post. Like, so that's your visual, your singular focus is, oh, I'm gonna hit this post.
That's a great example.
And that's where, and we say, you hear that about psychologists all the time talking to pitchers, right? Like, I gotta make this pitch. I can't hit the play. I can't hit the batter. And next thing you know, the guy's getting pegged in the head. So it's just one of these things where, if you put those positive thoughts in your brain, and a coach and a parent, especially, because a parent, I'll give the players a little bit of credit, right? In the locker room, they're like, they're not even listening to this guy anyway. They're trying to get ready for the game. But the parent sets the stage. The parent in the car, you get to the rink, and you see mom and dad grab their kid right before they go down the hall to the locker room. And then all of a sudden, if they lay that little, like, hey, don't be losing pucks today. Yeah. Like make sure you don't take any bad penalties today. Like, all of a sudden that kid goes in the locker room and all they're thinking about is all the negative pieces.
It has an impact.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
That's why we did that other episode of things you should say. Again, I'll give you another great example. Had, again, youth hockey, younger half, had a defenseman. We had a kid on defense that kept kind of going up on the offensive side of the play too much, right? He was taking himself out of position. So the negative would have been, hey, don't rush the puck. Don't rush like that, right? And what I did is I sat the kid down. And again, I got to say, I make mistakes on this all the time, folks, at home. Like that, having the conversation is how you learn. But I remember I sat him down. I said, hey, buddy, listen, every time you're on the ice on defense and they don't score, that's like you scoring a goal. And I'll tell you what, his eyes got so wide. Like, there was a click moment there of like, really? I was like, yeah, every time you're out there and they don't score, it's like you're scoring a goal. That's how you play defense. Man, he was great the rest of the night. I was like, that was just what that kid needed to hear. Doesn't mean every kid will respond to that. All right. But if I just said, don't rush, now I'm actually stunting him. Because the truth is, there are times to rush the puck on D, right? I don't want him not to be thinking that way. I just want him to understand, no, your primary goal here is to play defense first. And that was not a negative, right? So just pay attention, parents and coaches. Like, your message shouldn't be don't do something. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there are not times, especially at the older ages, when you need to coach and say, hey, you can't make this play here. Here's why, right? But like when Mike, I love that example. Like you're leaving them, they're walking. Hey, don't turn it over today. Like that's not what you want to be doing. All right, and well, again, I'll
No, my
remind you all
wife
what you should
trained
be
me like
saying.
really like don't leave the coffee cup there. Instead, can you put the coffee cup in the sink?
Right.
Like that. Don't leave the coffee cup sitting in the middle of the living room. Like I actually like, oh yeah, I'm like, oh, I better bring it to the sink. Like, so
Right. Or do what I do. I put a sign on the dishwasher. This dishwasher is accepting dirty dishes.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, but for me, it's such an easy thing to be on the bench as a coach and yelling the don'ts. But you as a parent, you should listen. If you're going into the game and you're showing up at 9:30 in the morning and you're dropping your kid off, you shouldn't be in this frantic in-game mode anyway, right? So if you're asking like, what are things we can control not to say? Well, then we can, I mean, I don't know if we've gotten to strategies here yet, but you could think about that going in, and like you want to say something to your kid. Like me, I'm gonna say something to my kid. I'm like, oh, I gotta say something, because I don't feel like I've like set them off. The same thing when I drop them off at school. I'm saying something like, hey, have a great day today, be a great student, like that kind of stuff. But I'm not saying, hey, don't fail that French test today. That's gonna ruin your life.
I'm going to tell the whole audience this, and it's because of the show I do this. And this is from that other episode. I tell my kids habitually, I love you no matter what happens out there, and I love watching you play. I tell that to them every time, to the point now that they kind of repeat it to me before I say it. Yeah, and I have no problem with that, because that's what that's what they know I think about. All right. Keep in mind, I coach them a lot too. We do talk about hockey a lot. It's not like it's all happy clapping all the time. All right. But it's like that's what they need to hear. They're going to get enough from their coaches. They don't need it from you. All right. Let's keep going here. This next one is one I love. Hey, coach is really going to be watching you today. Or, hey, there's scouts may be watching you today. Right. Not something the kid needs to hear, especially at evals and tryouts. Hey, they're really going to be watching you today. Yeah, like no duh, they're going to be watching you at the eval or the every game. It creates evaluation anxiety instead of letting them play freely. Right. And again, this is a whole nother episode topic. Your kids have to be able to play freely. I mean, I was just talking this morning to somebody about how it's better to give a kid in a situation 3 different options than tell them the correct option, because there is no real correct option in hockey, first of all. All right. And it's like, no, here's 3 options. You choose one. Now you're teaching them to choose, right? When you say the coach is really watching you today, now the kid's thinking, what does the coach want me to do? All right. And this is where you get mistakes happening. All right. So don't tell your kid the coach is really watching you today. Again, adversely, you should be saying, hey, a lot of effort today. Like make sure you make an impact today. Right.
It's interesting you mentioned when the scouts are in the stands, because of course we went through that with Sophia and her teammates. All the girls knew when the scouts were in the stand. We didn't have to tell them that. And that was some of the best hockey I'd ever seen. Yeah. They all put pressure on themselves, and they really stepped it out. They don't need your help. They know. And it does. It does kind of boost them. Like all of a sudden they have talent that we've never seen. It's like, where did that come from? Because the scouts were in the stand. So you don't have to tell them that. They know. And,
they know.
And they'll put on a performance like you've never seen, just because they know what that takes to get noticed. And it does. It lends itself to more creative play too. So don't put that pressure on them. They put enough pressure on themselves.
Nothing gets a 7 a.m. game up in the North Country of New York going than a college coach walking in with their jacket on and the whispers start going through the stands, right? So, but I do think that brings, it really goes back to, the like setting your child up, right? It goes back to the side of saying, hey, listen, we know. Like that should be a message you can bring in every game. Like, hey, there's always somebody watching, right? So today's game is not the game that's going to put you over the edge. But just remember that you're setting it up that, hey, anytime you step in to the rink, you should be performing at a level where if somebody was watching, what would they say about your game? and not just today. Like, and so it's, I think there's a way you could frame it, and the way you could coach it, that if you're going to have those conversations with players, it's more about, like I know when I was coaching recruiting at the college level, I had to go see a practice. Like, I couldn't just pick a kid from their game film, because I wanted to see what that player looked like in a lot of times where, maybe they weren't on the power play all the time. Maybe their coach was riding them pretty good. Maybe their team, like, how they react with their teammates. So that's like the same messaging, right? It's like the coach is always watching you today. Like, right. But maybe you don't say, hey, today, by the way, put that in your brain. But I think there is a level of coaching your kid to have them understand that if they're, and again, these are at especially that higher level of hockey where, the games do matter, and there's scouts, and there's film, and there's recruitment going on. There is the message that, listen, you're going to walk in the rink, everybody's always watching you. Just be aware of the way, who you're going to be today.
Yeah. And, the other version of this, just so we're clear, is you need to show the coach what you can do. Right. So there's one that's the coach is watching you, and then there's the kind of the other side of it is, show the coach what you can do. Now, it's funny about this one, and you're both going to get a laugh about this, is I have seen, and I've done this myself in the past, where the kid makes an amazing play at an eval or a tryout or a game, and coach isn't even watching. It's like, and then you get this, oh man, he wasn't even watching me there. Damn. And it's like, it's just not a good place to be. Right? Because it's actually the consistency of good play that gets you noticed. And, I think too, this could change based on the age level, but, Mike, you can speak to this too. A lot of the things, what we're looking for as coaches are not what you think. Like, if your kid makes an unbelievable assist, like, we'll probably see that. Then, what I'm looking, you maybe get on my radar with that. Seriously, let's take it there. Okay, maybe I see that. And it's like, okay, well, let me see your skating now. Let me see how you're doing on the bench now. Let me see how your shot looks. Let me see how you break out. Let me see how you can skate backwards. Now I'm looking at everything. All right.
Well, so unfortunately, that's some of the ways you get cut. Like, you make a great play that's outside of your normal play, and all of a sudden, like, oh, I had this kid as an X. I better watch this kid. And then you watch him, like, no, I was right. Yeah, but I mean, it's just like yeah. But sometimes, right. Like, just be a consistent player that plays your game and does what you normally do. If you have a highlight or a low light, honestly, if that's making or breaking you in an individual tryout, then shame on the evaluator.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, it's just understand that, as a parent, you can't just set the player up for, like, hey, today there's 15 people in the stands and they're watching you. And I don't know. That's a hard thing to put on a kid.
Well, they're watching all of you. And look here, Mike, I can say this too, Christie, and you probably know this with your daughter. I think you've told stories of this before. How many times have we gone to watch someone and someone else is actually who catches our eye, right? It's not the player we're looking to watch. It's somebody else on the ice that's like, well, wow. I remember going to a college recruitment thing as a coach to recruit. And there was a kid out there who was playmaking like crazy. I mean, I must have had 5 or 6 assists. And I remember thinking, I'll never get that kid just because he's getting so many assists. No one recruited him but me. I couldn't believe it. I was blown my mind. I was like, nobody saw all these assists. All they saw were other things. So to Mike's point, this is a two-way road. All right. We're not saying that all evaluators are perfect. Okay. But that doesn't mean telling your kid, hey, you need to show the coach what you can do. Because either way, they may not be looking or they may be looking. They might not know what they're doing. Just play your game. Herb Brooks, play your game. Play your game. Christy, didn't you tell me something with that with Sophia one time that they were at a thing and it was like they noticed her over somebody else?
Yes, that absolutely did happen. And again, and I think what her dad told her is go out there, enjoy the competition, focus on the moment, not the outcome.
Yeah.
And that light bulb just went on and she went out there and she just tore it up. And fortunately, one of the college coaches was in the stand and that's how she got recruited.
That's awesome.
And he wasn't even looking at her. He was looking at another player.
Right.
But he's like, who's that player? And talked to her after the game. And,
and that's happened to me as a player too. Look, I can remember going to a pro tryout. True story. And I remember my mind was, I was so happy to be there. Right. I was so happy to go out there and compete. And I truly mean that. Like, yeah, there were probably a little bit of nerves when I look back on it now in terms of just like normal pregame like, oh, this is a pretty big moment. But I just loved being out there. And I stood out. I did. I mean, I did everything I could. And I scored. I had assists. I mean, but I was enjoying playing, right? It was not fear-based. It was, I love where I'm at and I'm working hard here. All right. But that was also the culmination. And I gotta give a shout out to my parents, right? Like that was a culmination of the messages I had been receiving for over a decade about how to play this game, right? I was very blessed that my father and my mother, God bless their soul, gave me really good positive messages the entire time I played. I don't remember hearing anything negative from them. All right. And I did okay in my hockey career. All right. So, and I have a feeling that, and I got to say this too. They also pushed me when I needed to be pushed. Like I say, it wasn't happy clapping all the time. Like if I was not playing great or playing lazy, I heard some of that too. But it was never like, hey, don't play lazy. It was, hey, you're looking kind of lazy out there. I think you have a little bit more, right? That was just the way they did it. Here's another one for you out there. This one's really kind of for the coaches too. Hey, remember what we practiced. Remember what we practiced. Now, you might be at home thinking, well, that's not a bad one to hear, right? Remember what we practiced. It's the method in which it's saying. That can trigger overthinking instead of instinct, right? So what I do to combat this, because I wish I could say to all of my players, hey, just remember what we practiced because that'll help you. Believe me, I wish I could say that. What I do in the locker room is I will review what we practiced in question form. Again, last night, coaching the kids, simple stuff. Kids, what is this called? That's the blue line. And what do we not want to do on the blue line? We don't want to turn it over on the blue line. What are 3 options that you have on the blue line? Raise your hands. All right, you. We can skate it over. Correct. You. We can hit it off the boards and out. Okay, good. You. We can pass it. Okay, you. We can dump it if there's no other option. Now they're telling me what I wanted them to remember, and they remember it. All right. And
nobody said to do a 360 at the blue line.
Nobody said that. Nobody said. And
so you're ahead
funny,
of the game.
Mike.
You're ahead of the game.
Well, it's like, look, I'm a tinkerer. All right. So one of the things with coaching, Mike, you'll again, this is a whole nother episode again, but I'm going to mention it here. Is I wish there was one way to coach every kid. I wish there was one thing I could say that got to every kid. The truth is, every kid learns differently. Every kid responds differently. Every kid needs to be told things differently. So I tinker, and I have with the younger age. I got to make sure I say that with under 12, I'm pretty patient with telling kids things over and over and over again. It's on me to try and say it a different way, though. All right, now if you're over 12, I really should not have to tell you things more than 2 or 3 times. All right, it's on you at that point to find a way, or to come to me and say, "Hey, coach, listen, I don't learn that way." Right? I actually, if you could show it to me, I remember again, Mike, you're making me go on a tangent here, but I remember as I got older and really understood how I learned, I was not great at seeing things on a whiteboard and then applying them, especially like drills. But I did realize that if I saw someone do it, if I watched the drill one time, I could get it really quick. Or if I did the drill one time, I would get it down. And I remember telling my coach that, and it was a really good conversation. And like suddenly he realized this, like, I'm not screwing this up on purpose. It's just I just have a hard time learning that way. And I tried. I still try. All right. Now as a coach, when I have to do the whiteboard, it's funny to be on the other end of that. But I had to learn how I learn. And once I did that and I had a good conversation with my coach, well, now he knew how to coach me a little bit differently. And he understood I wasn't doing anything on purpose. Right. So that all comes back to the remember what we practice. You got to find different ways to do it. And just again, remember what we practice. Now you're going to think overthinking because it's like, well, what did we practice? What did we want to learn about? Go ahead, Christie.
Right. And as you said, instinct is a really vital part of that game. So you don't want to take that away from them. Is that they're in a game situation. Oh, wait, what did we practice? And every second counts.
Right.
You can't be overthinking it. Sometimes you just got to use your instinct too. So yeah, practice is great because then it just becomes part of the game. Right. But there are situations where they're going to need to use their instincts too. Yeah. So you shouldn't put fear into that. Speaking of fear, I think that's another thing that I see a mistake all the time with parents saying, don't be nervous. And it's just a game. they're minimizing their feelings. I was always nervous. I still get nervous before I go on the air. And I think that's an important feeling. And there's nothing wrong with feeling nervous. Don't minimize that.
It sharpens you up.
It sharpens you up.
Yeah.
And even telling the kids, oh, it's just a game. Well, to these kids, it's everything to them.
I don't love that saying.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Christy, what I tell my kids with the nerves, and I found that for everybody listening, I found this to be very beneficial. I said, hey, you're nervous because you care. Or you're feeling anxiety because you care. That's a good thing, right? I'll say, if you weren't feeling this way, that would actually worry me a little bit, right? You're supposed to feel a little bit something before a big game.
100%.
Right?
100%.
Right?
I hate that phrase. Don't be nervous.
Yeah.
Well, that
again,
means
don't.
care.
You said don't, right? Like they don't. It's not good to tell your kids to suppress their emotions. You can tell them to control their emotions, but not to suppress those emotions. Right.
Yeah, it's okay to have those feelings. There's nothing wrong with
that.
That's part of being human.
Right. Here's another tip, Christy. Tell me what you're feeling. Like that. Sometimes we don't acknowledge them. That's a mistake too. Like, tell me what you're feeling. I'm scared. Good. Now you've called it out. And I'll tell, like, again, we're talking younger kids right now. But I'll say, yeah, that's what being afraid feels like. It's an interesting emotion, right? But you're feeling that way because you care. And I'll tell older players this too. Like, it's good if you're feeling that way. And I won't go as in depth with them as I will with a younger player who's still discovering different feelings, right? No, here's another one, Christy. If your kid is 9 and they're in their first championship game ever, they may have never felt that feeling in their life. And you feel it as a parent, but you've been feeling it. You've been feeling it watching your favorite pro team. You've been feeling it when you played sports. You've been feeling it your whole life. If you have older siblings, you felt it a million times. They might have never experienced this before. And it's confusing and it can shut you down. And then you have someone saying, don't feel that way. Now you feel like, hey, I made a mistake, right? Like we got to remember these things. It's tough as a parent to put yourself in the position of a kid, even though we all say, I was a kid once too. All right. It was a long time ago. I love you brought up that fear response because, if you put a kid into a fight or flight response, I mean, now you got a 50-50 chance of what they might do. But if you encourage the fight response, using that analogy, obviously, I have to say that because it's hockey, right? You can get a better result out of them, right? And again, I don't ever want my players playing afraid. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Sorry, just keeping this line of thought going. That don't thing I want to bring up again. Just be very careful. And I got to say this too, parents and coaches. If you do say it, this is a positive. If you say don't do something at the next practice or game, and you remember this episode and you go, I shouldn't have said that, that's awesome. That's fantastic. The awareness of you knowing that is going to make you a better coach, a better supporter of your child. All right. Like I wish we could all snap our fingers and just have this stuff down. But the truth is it'll happen to me again. I'll say don't to a kid at some point just because I'm a human being. Right. But I'll remember, okay, try not to do that again. All right. Here's one more for you all out there. This is on the line of one earlier. Hey, Mike, we really need to win today. We really need to win this game today. And if we don't win this game today, XYZ is going to happen. If you say that to your kid before a game, we need this win. You've just put the entire responsibility and pressure of winning the game on your child. All right. And nobody, including the goaltender, deserves that. Don't say to your kid, I'm not talking about a team, your kid, hey, Johnny, we really need this win today. Thanks, Dad. Thanks for putting that on me today. Right? Your thoughts on that one, gang.
And when's that start? Does that start on September 1st? Like, when is that we really need to win this game?
We need to win that. It's the championship game. Yeah. No, Dad. We need to win this one.
This is the game we need to win?
Yeah.
God, I can't believe it. I think that, and again, and it all depends on the age you're with, but those messages that you send can put a lot of pressure, and I never think it's positive pressure. It's not like, going in and saying, thinking about, hey, getting a win today would be awesome, and think about the way you're playing. Not that not the end of the day. Like, if we don't get the win today, basically life as we all know it is over.
Right.
And, and that you'll be disappointed for the rest of your career. I think it's more about that, again, these are like messages that if you train yourself as a parent, to what you're doing now, like your messaging is the same every game. Like, it's like, hey, I love to watch you play. have a, I love what, I love you, and I just enjoy watching you. And I think it's great to be a part of this journey with you. Like, there's no message about, hey, you better win today, or, today I'm really looking forward to you scoring a goal, or, hey, today's going to be the day where if you don't make some good passes, we're going to have a discussion about it on the way home. Like, these are just like, if you can get yourself into, like, just as like us as coaches, like, you want to have an even keel going into these events. Like, there's the understanding that when you watch like a John Cooper on the bench in Game 7 of a Stanley Cup, his demeanor is the same as it was on the opening night of his season, and it's because he's the leader of that group. His ebbs and flows resonate through the bench. If you're a parent, your highs and lows, they affect your kids, whether you think it's not. Even when you're not there, it's affecting your kids. That's how connected you are. Your kids know. They see you in the stands, like, whoa, like they see it. And I think those messages, verbal, nonverbal, they can feel what's happening. And I think this is where, that's a really strong message to make sure that you're not putting the kids in a place where where it's the do or die all the time.
Well, how about this? Can you imagine? We have some fun with this. Can you imagine if someone did this to you on the way to work every day? Hey, Christie, try not to screw up on the teleprompter today, okay? All right, do a good job today. All right, don't screw up. I mean, can you imagine if someone said that to you before every broadcast?
Oh yeah, and it's most of it. And talking about the television analogy, so when we have somebody in the boothing us, and they're in our ear, you want someone with a calm demeanor,
right?
Because everything's happening. There are a lot of moving parts when you're live on the air, and if you've got a voice in your ear,
while
yelling
you're talking,
and screaming,
while you're talking,
just think about that. You'll mess up on the air, just like your kid will mess up on the ice if you're that little voice in their head or in the stands yelling at them. It can be really chaotic for the kid. And,
I'm always impressed when you hear like airline operators or 911 operators. So when they're having a conversation in the craziest things.
Yep.
Hey Tower, this plane has lost all its engines, and we're gonna actually be taking an emergency landing. Doesn't look like it's gonna be pretty. Like the way to be professional and keep calm. Like, you could, like, as a parent, like, imagine you just go in saying, hey, listen, this is going to be an awesome day today. Let's have some fun out there. I can't wait to watch you play today. Like, this is really going to be a great, what a great atmosphere. Look at this rink. Look at the music. Look at I think about that all the time when your kids get put in these places that they've never been into before. And it's really such a calming place when you can control that breathing and that emotion and setting them up for the on-ramp in such a great positive way.
What was that movie? Was it Sully, that movie about the guy who landed the plane in the Hudson?
Right, The Miracle on the Hudson.
Right. And it's like, if you watch that back, what's funny about that film, for anybody who's seen it, is they talk about how they had to actually create more controversy than was actually happening.
Yeah, more drama.
They had to make more drama to make the movie more interesting because everyone was so calm in that situation.
Oh, yeah. If you listen back to those 911 tapes, you would never know what was going on.
Right.
They were a near tragedy.
Right. And then, Christie, to your point, I just because I've been in those newsrooms, it's a lot more like hockey than people think. You're having to read the news while someone's in your ear telling you when the next break's coming up, and then God help you if breaking news happens, then you're going to have to really switch gears real quick. But yeah, think about that, folks at home. When you're going to your job in the car, listening to your music, can you imagine if someone came on the radio and just said, hey, listen, your boss is really going to be watching you today. You really need to impress your boss today. All right. You're not going to love that. You're not going to love that. So don't do it to your kids. And then one more thing I just wrote this note down and I want to say it for the parents, again, more younger age hockey right now I'm talking than older age. But when I see a kid consistently come off the ice crying after a mistake, I can put 2 to 2 together on that. All right. He or she is not crying because of the mistake. If that happens once and doesn't happen again, that's because they feel bad about what they did. But when I see it consistently, I know that kid's getting messaging somewhere that is he's failing or she's failing. And I got to say this. I never, ever want to see a kid crying when he's playing or she's playing the game. And again, look, I'm not talking about getting hit with the puck, and I'm not talking about it's overtime and the goal went in and it's a one-off situation. I'm talking about like going off sides and you're crying, or you're not scoring, you're missing the net and you're crying. Typically, to me, that's a sign of this kid might not be getting the best messages because they're putting all the pressure in the world on themselves. Again, I got to say it too. This is not every single situation, all right? But I think it's a lot of them. No kid should come off the ice crying. You should always be enjoying yourself. All right?
And seeing a parent say to the kid when they come off the ice, "Whoa, where was your head today?"
Yeah. Oh, right? Man. Breaks my heart.
It breaks your heart.
Yeah.
Just zip it.
Yeah. No. So, like, we've gone over a lot of these things today. I think, we did say the episode title is Top 3 Things. So I think we did some interesting things today. I think that we chunked a lot of these together. So one of the 3 things is just not saying, don't do this. I think we uncovered that one. Don't mess up. Don't turn it over. Like, that's one of the 3 things you got to be looking out for. I think another one is creating the fear response or the impress response of, hey, coach is going to be watching you today. The scouts are watching today. Like, don't do that. And I think the number one is that you need to do X. You need to skate. You need to score. You need to pass. You need to stay out of the box. Those are the 3 common things. So again, we could say them more specifically, but that's it. You need, don't do, someone's watching. Those are the 3. Don't say those things to your kids. And I said at the top of the episode that these are elusive, right? They might not sound horrible in your mind. Remember what we practiced is sticking out. Like, that doesn't sound crazy, but it's not the best thing you could say, right? So just something to keep in mind, parents. Again, like we're always on this mission to make sure that we're better parents, better coaches, better players. And I always say it, there's no perfect parents, there's no perfect coaches, and there's no perfect players, right? It's just a discussion that we like to have because it's going to teach us.
Exactly. And parents listening now, this could be a light bulb moment for you because you're probably very well intentioned. You might be thinking, I'm motivating my kid,
right.
I'm educating my kid, when you're actually doing the opposite. Just be careful with the words that you choose and the thoughts that you're sharing with your kid, because you want to be that positive influence. And maybe some of the words, some of the tactics you're choosing are having that opposite effect on them.
Yeah. And Christie, you're bringing up a really great point. I'm glad you reminded me to say this. Do not make the mistake of thinking that how you were motivated is how your kid will be motivated. All right. Because you and your kid are growing up in drastically different environments and different times. All right. I'd also question if what motivated you actually motivated you, because depending on when you grew up, that there might be different connotation on that. All of the research today shows that negative reinforcement is not having positive results. All of it. All right. I wish there was other stuff that can to show you the contrary of that. There's not. That's today's youth. All right. So remember, how you were motivated does not necessarily mean that's how your kid's going to be motivated. Mike, the most positive man alive. That's, the most interesting man alive. Mike is the most positive man alive. Your final thoughts on this? Don't mess up, Mike.
So there are families you're going to run into, and they're going to be dads and moms that are doing these things, and their kids are going to be very successful. They're going to show high levels of success. Yeah. They probably are the best player on the ice. They are the ones that are going to score when they're supposed to. That's the one, like we talk about, like the outliers. That is an outlier. That is not normal. It's not like an everyday thing. So don't fall into, because so-and-so does it, I need to do it.
Right.
You know your own child, but they're going to be, and we see it and we've heard about it in our own interviews with professional athletes. We know about the hardcore parent that's laying these messages on players, that's driving them to success, and they're getting away with it. But what we don't do is we're not looking at the other 98% of the kids that don't respond to this or doesn't do them justice. So again, we know they're out there. We see the success, but again, really be careful of knowing your child and knowing that most children don't respond to those type of messages very well. And even if they could, they don't need to. It doesn't have to be that way. even if it does work. Both work.
Well, that's a great way to end it, Mike. Tremendous thoughts. Great episode, gang. Like I said, I always love having these conversations with you because I feel like we even uncover stuff as we're doing it. But that's going to do it for this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Remember, if you want to comment, if you want to let us know what you think, email us, team@ourkidsplayhockey.com, or hit the link accompanying this episode in the description. Let us know your name, where you're at if you want. And we love hearing from you. Definitely getting your thoughts. Even if you have a story about something like this, send it over. But for Christie Casciano-Burns and Mike Benelli, I'm Lee Elias. We'll see you on the next Our Kids Play Hockey, everybody. Share this episode with your friends and your family and your teammates. Let them hear it. We'll talk to you next time.
Don't not share it.
Don't not share it. Yeah.
Don't not share it.
I like that. Take care, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Make sure to like and subscribe right now if you found value wherever you're listening, whether it's a podcast network, a social media network, or our website, ourkidsplayhockey.com. Also, make sure to check out our children's book, When Hockey Stops, at whenhockeystops.com. It's a book that helps children deal with adversity in the game and in life. We're very proud of it. But thanks so much for listening to this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey, and we'll see you on the next episode.